we have any announcements?
Yes, we do. Juniors and seniors will enjoy Springford High School's 2019 Great Gatsby Prom in style on Saturday, April 27th. Following prom, hundreds of students are expected to return to high school for SNAP's annual post-prom celebration. SNAP is a group of Springford parents and community members working together in an effort to provide spectacular free post-prom event for all Springford area high school juniors and seniors, whether they attend prom or not.
Post-prom is held Saturday, April 27th from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. In addition, community members are invited to see how SNAP volunteers transform the school into a movie extravaganza of fun activities. Community members can enjoy face painting, airbrush tattoos, inflatables, games, a photo booth, and they can sign the Senior Walk of Fame for students to see later that evening. Kona Ice will be there for purchase and are graciously donating 25% of profits back to SNAP. Dessert donations are graciously accepted during the walkthrough of our VIP student guests in attendance to the post-prom event. Thank you.
Don't forget there'll be a ton of other food there too. Like tons of food. And Rita's water ice. Important. Nah, Kona, never. Public to be heard on agenda items only. Okay, we have one action item. Do I have a motion for A?
Second.
Motion second. Any comment? All in favor say aye. 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 Okay, we have, I'm not sure. I think the students were grabbing me before the meeting. They want the budget presentation next. I guess not. Heather?
All right, good evening, everyone. In the presentation, the title, it says 5th, 6th, 7th grade Cupcake Wars. This is the 7th grade Cupcake Wars. And how this relates, though, to the 5th and 6th is this year we were able to bring in RamQuest into the 5-6 for this year. Now, unfortunately, these students did not have the pleasure of having RamQuest at any time because it was in the K-4 when they weren't there, and then now it's in the 5-6 when they're not there. But one of the visions, and I printed it right off of our website because I really think it is important, and I think the teachers really looked at the vision of RamQuest and tried to figure out a way to take that vision and then bring it to the 7th grade without having RamQuest there. And the vision of RamQuest, it's where students engage in authentic learning experiences in which they will have to think critically, creatively, to solve problems, to inquire, and to explore. So we're looking at those 4 C's that we're looking at when we look at our STEAM programming and what are we doing in each of the grade levels. So I'd like to introduce first Mr. Fickert, our technology teacher, and then Melinda Borges will come on, and she's our family consumer science teacher, and you will see how these two married together for a wonderful project called Cupcake Wars.
Thank you. I want to start by thanking the board for having us this evening. I'm just going to give a quick overview. Looks like you have a lot of presentations this evening, so we'll make it fast. We started last school year. Melinda approached me and asked me if I wanted to be part of a development of a curriculum, which, as you can see, is Cupcake Wars. And what it is we get the FCS classes as well as my tech ed classes together for 6 days out of the marking period. The first 2 days, we watch an episode of Cupcake Wars, get them thinking about it, and introducing it to them. And then the next day and a half, we spend collaborating as an entire group. They have groups of maybe 10 to 12 students, and they work together. They come up with a plan for their cupcakes, the design for the icing, and then obviously they come up with a plan for a structure to hold 15 to 20 cupcakes. After the first 2 days, we break apart. FCS goes back to their rooms. My tech ed students are in my room. My students, for 3 days, we make a structure that's going to hold 15 to 20 cupcakes. The FCS students, they go back to the room, they bake the cupcakes, they decorate the cupcakes. And then the last day, we get back together as a team. And they present their structures, they present their cupcakes. We do some voting, all the teachers vote, the students vote, and then the best part of it at the end, they get to eat their cupcakes. So they enjoy that. The two classes together, what we really get out of it is that chance to collaborate, communicate, and work together as a team. As we all know, when you get out in the real world, that's one big thing that we need to have the students be able to do is work together as a team, make decisions, and collaborate. So I think that's one big aspect of it that they're taking away and understanding is, you know, we have to work together. We've got to get a job done in 3 days, and they do an excellent job with that. So with that being said, we have a short little video clip for you, and then we'll continue.
Today we'll show you the video, we'll show you some examples from last marking period, what other groups have done, and then we'll get you guys working, collaborating, talking.
We really wanted like the collaboration, the kids kind of working together, working on that teamwork kind of thing, and then bringing in the engineering and the FCS components as well. This is our second marking period. We're gonna do it quarterly from now on, end of every marking period, kind of like the wrap-up activity to both of our components, Tech Ed and FCS.
The students have me for one marking period, so they build the structures, and then at some point during the year they go to FCS and they'll get the cupcake portion of it. So they really do it 2 times a year. We felt it'd be best for the students, you know, trying to find ways to collaborate, work together. And this was just an awesome project where the students get to do one part of it in hers, another part in mine, and then they get to flip-flop throughout the year. So they're working together. I think ultimately, at least for me, one of the big things that I try to get to them is teamwork, being able to communicate with each other to create a product in a certain time period.
Collaboration, teamwork, they love it, they have fun. Even the kids that we struggle to get involved in things really like the competitive aspect of this and the design and the little bit of rush that we have going on with the week planning time.
We've had the beach theme. It seems to be pretty popular. I don't know if everybody's thinking summer already. We've had a couple football themes. We've had a couple space, galaxy, those items as well. So a couple different themes.
We both have a budget, so I allot for this in my budget for food. And then we've also had a couple things donated by teachers and a couple of contractors and stuff. So we just try to, you know, get what we can. And we use Ian uses his scraps and stuff that he has laying around. The kids actually bring in supplies as well. I tell them I can give them the stuff to make cupcakes and vanilla icing, and everything else is on them. Food dye, gummy bears, whatever else they want, they need to bring in and talk about that as part of their collaboration.
They're learning, like I said, one big thing would definitely be the teamwork, the communication, which you need out in the real world. We try to give that to them as much as we can. And again, just working together as a team, you've got a deadline that you need to meet, and being able to do that, being able to come up with an idea and then making it happen. Having the kids do it for 2 marking periods, just seeing them work together, being excited about it, is awesome. And that's what keeps it going each year. I think, you know, there's certain projects where not every kid's really into it. This project seems to be everybody's into it. Everybody's enjoying it, having a good time. Ultimately eating their cupcakes at the end, they all seem to like that.
Okay, so that was a little bit more about our Cupcake Wars. Again, we really just wanted to focus on that STEM concepts of collaborating with each other, building that teamwork, a little bit of engineering, a little bit of time crunch. And like we said in the video, the kids really love it. Like every kid is involved. It's a jam-packed week of fun and working together. So that's awesome. And it's kind of become even more now that the kids have at least had one or the other of us, to kind of see that they can do more, that they know the time limit and stuff. So I have a couple of questions for you guys. You good? All right, Chase, how did you get to express your creativity during this project? Oh, this one? There you go. Do you want me to re-ask?
That
okay. All right, Chase, how did you get to express your creativity during this project?
Like I said, there's no limit to what you can create, so it's all you can think of. All your thoughts just get put into the work.
Awesome. Did you like that aspect?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right, Miss Teagan, what communication strategies did you use, and how did your group communicate with each other? Did you find it easy?
We distributed the jobs evenly to everyone throughout the group, so like everybody could contribute. But like although working with strong personalities and like diverse personalities was like a little bit different, like and challenging for some people.
And you were able to work through that?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Colby, what kind of challenges did you face when you had to do this project?
The challenges that we faced were coming up with theme ideas and also trying to communicate with new people that you'd never really met before.
Yeah, with Tech Ed and FCS and having both groups combined. Awesome job. Grace. So Grace, you've actually done both sides of this project, Tech Ed and FCS. So
Yeah.
how did you improve the second time around when you had FCS versus the first time when you had Tech Ed?
We knew that we could communicate more with the tech ed groups, and it was like we knew what we were doing more because I had it first mark period, and we knew how fast we had to work.
Yeah, you knew there was a little bit more of a time crunch. Great job. Lorelai, what elements of this project required critical thinking?
Figuring out the dimensions of our structure, working as a productive team, choosing and picking jobs equally, decorating and baking cupcakes, and just trying to have fun in the process.
Good, I'm glad you had fun. All right, Michael, what was your favorite part about this project?
I liked constructing the structures, eating the cupcakes, and being creative with them.
Awesome. Eating is always the best part. Cash, how did your group collaborate during this project?
We focused on communication and we were just like really nice to each other.
Awesome, and you had fun, right?
Wait, yeah.
Awesome. So, what I want to talk about now is, so I took this STEM idea and I kind of ran with it, and as part of my curriculum, I have to demonstrate the recipes before the kids make them. And a lot of my kids spend most of their night on YouTube anyway, so what I figured I would do is I would take my demos and I would work with Andrew Rothermel, and we would have me videotaped doing these demonstrations, and then the kids would watch them for homework instead of me doing an entire day of me demoing and using 6 different recipes and resources that the district pays for. So now what we're gonna do starting next year is use these demos as like a homework assignment, and then the kids will come in and actually cook the next day. So I have one of those videos for you as well for you to watch. Should be a second video. There should be a second video. Andrew sent it today. Yes. That's okay.
Hey guys, it's Miss Borges. We're going to be making pizza bubble bread today. So I'm just going to get started. Make sure you wash your hands first, as always. And the reason you need a hole in the center is the same reason a donut needs a hole in the center, which would be because it needs to cook evenly around the outside. So when you're measuring, you want to make sure it's on a flat surface. At eye level, you want to get down, and you want to check and make sure that the bottom of the meniscus is there. And you can see that it's grown quite a bit from what it was. None of those glass spaces are showing anymore. So you can either serve this in individual bubbles, or you can just cut it like a pizza, put it on a plate. Okay, and enjoy.
All right. That was really hard for me to get over because cameras and microphones freak me out. So the plan is to place those on my website, and then the kids will watch them prior to us cooking, and they will come in the next day and cook. And then if they want to make it at home, they can watch the videos with their families and embarrass me even more. Or they can use them. And then our plan is to do some advanced ones that will only be on the website, kind of like a tasty video, if you've ever seen one of those. So the plan is to do some advanced ones that we won't do in class that kids can do at home with their families. So what we really wanted to reinforce here was the STEM technology collaboration aspect. We're building that from RamQuest in 5-6 up to 7th, and just really making sure that this is a skill that these kids have prior to coming to 8th grade in the high school. Okay, are there any questions?
Fantastic job. I love how you incorporate both ends of the spectrum. I love that the two classes work together and that the folks actually get to do this course twice. So that's really exciting, and you can see some of the benefits, I'm sure, when they've gone through the second time. And I bet the displays probably get a little bit more complex each quarter because people are starting to realize different things that they can do and can't do. So great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
So not a question, just a comment. Thank you very much for all you do. I can see the kids are very excited about this project, and I know how much they enjoy doing it. And the spark of cooking has taken over in my household. So thank you. I love that too. So great job, guys.
Thank you so much.
Well, all the displays look really awesome, but the one that popped up I thought was really incredible was the volcano one.
Yeah.
That was really something, and it had the cupcake on the top with the flames coming out. So
Yep.
that just shows the creativity that these kids are bringing to the table. So I know one of them said that, it's endless as far as what possibilities there are. So that's a great job, and I agree with Don, how you're taking the two classes and bringing them together, and the kids, again, because we talk a lot about the communication amongst the kids, throughout the district, especially at the elementary levels and the middle school levels. And this is just another example of, kids working together and talking to each other about, creating, executing on a project. So this is great. And I'm sure the kids were really upset when you said it was time to eat the cupcakes.
Yeah, oh yeah, we have to limit them.
Yeah.
It's like, only 2 guys. No, thank you so much. Yeah, we don't give them any theme, so they just can kind of run with whatever they want, and it is really awesome to see what we can come up with. And it's funny, we saw a lot of beach themes that marking period, and then when we showed them some examples, everyone was like, I'm not doing a beach, everybody else did that. So it was really cool to see that there weren't any copycats, and they really just are creative, and the teamwork aspect, you have to work together. It's part of life, so it's awesome that they get to do this in kind of a fun, creative way. So, awesome.
Whoop. Wrong button. Thank you. Great job, guys. Really good job.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. All right, great job. Up next, Miss O'Day. I know I saw you somewhere. Oh, there you are.
You can sing with us. Good evening. I would like it to introduce you to our choir president, Sabrina Neff.
Good evening, everyone. So as Mrs. O'Day just said, I'm Sabrina Neff, and I'm the president of choir. Being a part of this amazing group for the past 4 years has truly been life-changing. When people think of a choir, they just automatically assume that it's a group of people who learn some songs and sing them together, but they never get to see the behind the scenes and all of the other factors that contribute. We rehearse for countless hours with each other, whether it's during school, after school, or at night. And that automatically forms friendships. And getting to perform with people who love singing just as much as you do is one of the most rewarding parts. This year, our vocal ensemble has been given some of the most amazing performance opportunities. This past December, we won first place in the B101 Christmas Choir Competition, where we were able to sing live on the radio and perform at the Kimmel Center with the Philly Pops. Not to mention, we also won $5,000 for our music program. And just when we thought it couldn't get any better after that, it definitely did, because we performed at Carnegie Hall in New York with the Choirs of America Festival. As many of you know, we just got back from that New York trip, and it was without a doubt incredible. Every time I think back to that feeling of singing Amazing Grace while looking out at Carnegie Hall, it instantly brings a smile to my face. Aside from performing there, we also received a well-rounded music experience while we were on the trip. We were able to see a Broadway show called Come From Away. We went to the opera to watch Don Giovanni, and we spent an entire day at Queens College receiving various musical classes. As singers and musicians, it's important that we are well-rounded, and that's exactly what the New York trip did. By seeing all different kinds of shows and getting to listen to all different choirs on various levels, it was truly eye-opening. As a senior, I'm sad to no longer be performing with this group, but I'm even more excited to see where it goes, because we've created something so wonderful that I know will continue to grow and do great things. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to showcase the Springford Vocal Ensemble tonight. I would like to thank the board, my administration, Dr. Nugent, Dr. Weidenball, and all of our assistants, the Music Association, for all of your support. We realize that we have an entire team of people who believe in the value of music, and we are very appreciative of that. The high school choral department is flourishing with about 170 students strong, with the help of Alex Cifelli and Joe Perry, who are also full-time music teachers at the middle school and choir directors. We now have 6 ensembles here at the high school. I'm very grateful to Joe Perry and his assistants with this group, this vocal ensemble. He helps me after school on Wednesdays and Tuesday evenings. And Joe has been helping with this group for the past 5 years since we had our PMEA performance, which is the All-State Festival. And I think we've formed a pretty good team so far, yeah. So we are blessed to work with these talented students in front of you. They're dedicated. They have worked diligently since September and have transformed into an ensemble that Mr. Perry and I are very proud of. In New York, we received many compliments from different people about not only how wonderful they sounded, but also how respectful and polite they were throughout the trip. They did sit through a 3-hour opera without a peep. Now, granted, some of them maybe were sleeping at the end, but that's okay. It was a long day. But, you know, that's all right. For me, it's really important that all of my students have a positive experience in choir. I want them to walk out of every rehearsal and every performance knowing that they have done something good for themselves, for their peers, their audiences, and for me. Because they do. Sorry, Dr. Nugent. He knows I cry every time. All right, so this version of Amazing Grace that we are singing tonight, Sabrina, come here. Okay, no, I can do it. Come here, anyhow. Come here. Yes, moral support, my president. Okay, it was dedicated to the children of the victims of 9/11. So, and it's very special to us. We have been preparing this piece since September, knowing that we would be visiting the 9/11 Museum. Throughout the year, many students have found their own meaning to this piece and have appreciated the sense of peace that it has given them. You will hear 3 soloists this evening, Sabrina, Rachel Pragman, and Megan Guarnello. Of course, you will also hear the very talented Mr. Perry on piano, so please enjoy Choral Reflections on Amazing Grace, and thank you again for your support. All right, just one more.
saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. Was grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. Kyrie eleison, Kyrie eleison, Christe eleison, Christe eleison, Kyrie "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear! The hour I
That was incredible. That was, and there's no acoustics in this room, and that was incredible. I mean, could only imagine how well, I mean, what I heard back from the parents is that they were just amazing at Carnegie Hall. And I would, no doubt. So that's great job. You mentioned that there's 6 ensembles this year. How many ensembles were there when you first started? Do you remember? 4? So it's, I mean, it's still growing, I mean, but. Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely, the staff, you guys are doing a great job. I mean, it's just amazing. And there's, we're recognizing a lot of students this evening, and it's from across the district for many different things. And this is just one more example of why Springford is one of the top districts, in the state because of this. Academics are awesome, but this is just as, I feel, is just as important of what we're providing for the students. So that was just incredible. I mean, I almost took my breath away. It was a great job.
I'll
Great job.
second Tom's comments, and I was lucky enough to be in Carnegie Hall to see the performance, and you're right, the acoustics in this cafeteria aren't as good as Carnegie Hall, but it was a transformative event. It was amazing, and I felt so fortunate that we were able to have our school represented there and under your instruction. And I know a lot of the kids in your choir, and I know how transformative being a part of that team is for them and what an impact it has on their lives and how awesome you guys are. Like, you're like the best of the best of the best. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much for everything, guys.
And to add to that, I know several of the members up there too, and I just have a tear in my eye. I'm so proud. I love them so much, and it's so great to hear you all together, because I do hear them sometimes, maybe not as a big group like this. Couple of things like from the takeaway here is just I was wowed. You could hear a pin drop in this room, which you never can hear. The Christmas song was wonderful. I mean, I would listen to it. It would come on the radio. Claire would sing in the car or what have you. But from that to this is an amazing song in and of itself. And so that you all just did it so well. So that and then also to have this tie-in and be able to see Come From Away. I saw that last summer. It's an amazing piece of art, and that's so great that you had that opportunity when you were in New York, and it ties in the 9/11 thing, and just so good. So it's part of the continued success that Mr. DeBello mentioned here, and I hope this program continues to grow and just blossom, because I think it's so great for everybody in that group and for all of us. Thank you so much.
Mr. DeBello, may I say one thing to Mrs. O'Day?
Sure.
Mrs. O'Day, before you go. Last January 2018, our girls basketball team, varsity and JV, were invited to play in a showcase up in Brooklyn, New York. And we were able to stay downtown, not far from the 9/11, because that's where we had to get a hotel. And on Saturday morning before our game, we went over to the 9/11 museum. And to know that most of the girls on our team weren't even born or were maybe a year old or less. And I remember their faces and the power and the emotion that was there that day when we visited the museum. You all brought that power, emotion. I had a video reel running in my mind of that day to your music. So I thank you for allowing me and our girls to go back to that day and just be able to feel the power of that museum. Thank you.
All right, Mr. McDaniel, will you be singing next? you have an
You
ensemble?
obviously haven't spoke to my wife about my singing prowess.
Well,
No,
yeah.
we're going to be recognizing some of those that have succeeded this spring or this winter in our athletic program. What I'm going to ask them to do now in the respect of saving time, I'm going to ask them to come up in this order. Mao Chu, boys tennis, could you please come over?
Mickey, you take your time. Take your time.
You sure?
Yes, they deserve the recognition also. Yeah.
All right, I've been instructed to take more time. Okay.
Take more. I said, you don't have to raw. I mean,
You open the door now.
I know. I don't want to hear about Chicago. That's all. You don't need to fill the space with Chicago.
Well, first of all, just hang there. First of all, we want to thank once again the school board and the administration for this opportunity to show off some of our athletes tonight to you and to our community. We do appreciate all the support we get from the school board, our administration, our faculty, our staff, our community, and it means so much to us. So what we're going to do tonight, we're going to bring up our athletes. We're going to take this microphone and speak in public and say their name. And then I'm going to read off a little bit of the resolution. So Mao Chu, I want you to face the audience. Here you go. Say your name.
All right. My name is Malachu Pascual.
Okay, we'll get. All right, let me tell you a little bit about Mao Chu. First of all, Coach Brennan is not here tonight. He serves on the District 1 Tennis Steering Committee, and they are tonight seeding for the singles tournament that Mao Chu has qualified for. So to tell you a little bit about Mao Chu, and today they beat Perkiomen Valley, I can say that right, Perkiomen Valley 5-2, and won the Pioneer Athletic Conference Championship through the tiebreakers. So congratulations to our boys tennis team. That championship qualifies them for the team district tournament, which will begin May 2nd. Mao Chu, in the boys single, won his second consecutive championship. His brother Patrick won 3, so Mao Chu in his senior year will be looking to tie his brother. He won it in a dominating score in sets of 6-1, 6-0. And he is currently 14-0 this season in matches. Mao Chu, our Pioneer Athletic Conference champion. Here you go. Here you go. Here's the resolution. Thank you. All right, girls basketball. Line up right through here. This is hers. Okay. I'll get them afterwards. When I tell you to go, you'll start. You're going to face out that way. If we need to wrap around a little bit, just sag in. Yeah, like a little bent U. And we do have some players that were unable to be here this evening, or else it'll be a little larger. So we're going to start in this end. Just introduce yourself and pass the mic. Just name. Don't need anything else.
Abby Goodrich.
Olivia Olson.
Cassie Marty.
Kylie Puffko. Ariana Magazzolo. Lexa Fisher.
Mac Maloney. Alyssa Yuan. Jules Sconia.
Abby Boyer. Kylie Lee. Emily Tiffin.
Deja Engel. Rachel Rakowski. Skylar Sullivan. Kate Klein.
Julia Bryce. Haley Hudak.
Yeah, coaches too.
John Martin.
Dan Brittingham.
The girls basketball team won their 8th Pioneer Athletic Conference Championship when they defeated Pope John Paul II in the Final 6 semifinals, 71-21, and then defeated Methacton in the championship game, 55-41. This year, the girls finished with an overall record of 24 wins, 5 losses, identical to last year. We're 4th place in the districts and won the first round of states and got to the second round where eventually lost to Cardinal O'Hara. And the girls here, this state win that we got this year was the first one some of them have experienced. So that was pretty awesome. So congratulations, ladies. Okay, you can start your shake hand around. Yeah, go. Swimming. Oh, here. Give them to Mr. Merton and hand out. Just hand that to all the girls. Bow ties are in, aren't they? Okay, introduce yourself.
Right. I'm Brendan Bagansky.
I'm Sean Lang.
I'm Sam Ritchie.
I'm Emma Thomas.
Luke McKenna.
Corey Lang.
Coaches, they
Greg Huff.
Melinda Borges.
And Mark Agnew.
Okay, well, let's give him a hand. Now our champions. Emma Thomas. She was our Pioneer Athletic Conference 500 free champion with a time of 5 minutes, 27.6 seconds, which qualified her for the PIAA District 1 championship meet. Emma, congratulations. Luke McKenna won the Pioneer Athletic Conference Boys 500 Freestyle in a time of 4 minutes, 44.73 seconds, and qualified for the PIAA District Championships. So we dominated in the 500 free. Congratulations. Our relay team of Corey, Sean, Sam, and Brendan won the 200 Freestyle Relay Championship in a time of 1 minute, 29.8 seconds. I can't imagine swimming that fast, but great job to our ladies and gentlemen in the championship and to the staff as well. Let's give them another big round of applause. Thank you. I'll shake hands. Where are they? Wrestling. No, you just gotta say your name. This is our 2019 District 1 North champions. They won the championship with a score of 238.5 points and had an overall record this year of 21-6. Congratulations, gentlemen. Now we'll have them introduce each other.
Alex Johns.
Jack McGill.
Joey Milana. Louis Carbajal.
Dirk Nugent.
Quinn Tobin.
Shane Reynolds.
Sean Brogan.
Dennis Flynn.
Jason Lepore.
Gavin Hartman.
Jeremy Wentworth.
James Albert.
Cooper Chestnut.
DJ Francis.
Chase Smith.
Matt Sierra.
Michael Menser.
Zach Needles.
Gus Carfagna.
Dominic Ortlip.
Chris Weiss.
Who are you?
Coach Slaslav.
Now, gentlemen, I know there's a lot of you, so when I call your name of the individuals that are being recognized tonight, please step forward. Okay, Sean Brogan. Sean won the PIAA District 1 North 285-pound weight class with a 3-1 decision and qualified for the PIAA Southeast Regional Championship. Congratulations, Sean. Shane Reynolds won the PIAA District 1 North 113-pound weight class with an 8-0 decision and qualified for the PIAA Southeast Regional Championship and the PIAA State Championships. Congratulations, Sean. Chase Smith. Chase was the winner of the PIAA District 1 North 170-pound weight class with a 6-1 decision and qualified for the PIAA Southeast Regional Championships and the PIAA State Championships. Congratulations, Sean. Joey Milano. Joey was the District 1 North 182-pound weight class champion with a pin at 1 minute 16 seconds. He won the PIAA Southeast Regional Championships with a pin at 3 minutes and 34 seconds and qualified for the PIAA State Championship tournament where he finished fourth, medaling by finishing fourth. Congratulations, Joey. One thing I always love about our wrestling program is pretty much all the ties. Looks great. So, gentlemen, congratulations and shake hands. We did. Hey, how was Hokie Land? Good. Chase.
All right, they clear it out quick. Yeah. If you want to clear a room, you just say Jim Fink and boom, gone. Where's Mickey? Mickey, where'd you go? Man, he cleared out fast too. Mickey, great job. I mean, again, it's just, wonderful way to showcase the excellence that we have here at Springford with our, I guess this is considered winter, right? Winter sport program? Yeah, so, yeah, wonderful job. And so to all the coaches, again, that, they're doing awesome with the kids, and we're hearing nothing but good stuff. So thank you. All right. Robert, where's Jim at? Oh, there you are. All right. Last of the presentations this evening. We're all on the edge of our seats, waiting to hear your presentation. Mr. Fink?
I can't believe I have to follow all that. You should have had me go first.
I wanted you to, but the board looked at me and said, no, don't bring it. Yeah, well.
I can't top anything that we just saw, so that's for sure. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there at all.
We're not allowed to torture the students with that.
All right, so thanks for having me. After all that, I'm a little off balance now because all that was really good. But that's why I do what I do too. So at some point, is that going to go? Is there a, hang on. There we go. Clicker's working. All right, so we're going to go through the budget. We've gone through this in Finance Committee last week. Of course, Mr. DeBello reviewed some of the stuff that came out of committee. I'm not going to say let the cat out of the bag, but kind of let the cat out of the bag. But we'll go through the stuff that we look at each year. A lot of the things kind of stay the same, but certainly when we start to look at some of the challenges and obstacles that we do in putting together a budget, I'm not sure what the zero thing is on the screen, but we'll look past that. So the obstacles that we deal with every year, we have to do our budget, of course, before the state's done with theirs, so we're not sure about a number of things, including the education subsidy, transportation, special ed, if there's any tax reforms coming up. We try to budget conservatively, as we do every year. Some things we do, we budget for example, the basic education subsidy. We actually budget with last year's number, or the number we're looking at now, so we're not sure what next year's number is going to be. Those formulas that they use are kind of complex, and without all the data, it's hard to figure those things out anyway. Increases in special education, we run about a $35 million budget. We get money subsidized from the state and from the Fed of about 5.8, which is around 15-16% of our overall budget. We run an awesome program here with Dr. Roach and with the supervisors and all the teachers and staff. We run an excellent program. Nothing's free. It costs money. We have to pay for it. So when I look at that piece, that's always a challenge. Finally, not necessarily that it's a challenge, but it's an item, is their professional contract. This was a no-step year for our professional contract, meaning the teaching staff didn't go from step 10 to step 11. They're staying where they are as far as that's concerned. But there is an increase built into the schedules, so increases are coming. All things being equal, as us economists like to say, that impact would be approximately 2.5%, or a little over $2 million. And that's before we factor in new positions and retirements and those types of things. So if we look at the revenue side of the ledger, I'm just going to look at some of the major items. Our local revenue is comprised still, it always is, year over year, about 80% of our total budget. Our assessment values have increased since last year's budget, just a little bit under 1%. And we've also achieved a collection rate of face value of about 97%. What that means essentially is there's two factors that come into that 97%. It's not just monies that are not collected this year and will go into delinquent status, but also since we offer, of course, by law, the 2% discount period, that also drops that face value down a little bit as well. So from there, organically, we're looking at about $340,000 increase there. Our earned income taxes, Mr. DeBello stated last week as a recap of our Finance Committee meeting, doing rather well in that category. Don't want to get too aggressive on the budget number, so we decided to increase that number by about $300,000. And also the same is true for the interim real estate taxes, about $100,000 there. The major contributor is actually on that line item is the earned interest line item. The economy is doing better. Interest rates are going up on our deposits. In addition, when we did our we did our agreement with our new banking partners, WSFS Bank and Ambler Savings Bank locally, we were also able to negotiate some much better rates than we had with our prior banking partner. So that's adding a bunch there. Now, back up to that 97%, as the delinquent taxes, or as we collect our taxes faster, more in the current period, our delinquent tax inventories go down. So as those inventories go down, so will the future receipts from those. So that's we see a decrease there. So on the local side of things, we're talking about an organic increase of about $913,000. On the state side, which is about 20% of the budget, We look at, as I said before, a basic education subsidy. We budgeted an increase there of $370,000. That takes us to what the state said we would get to this year. We try to budget that a year behind. I don't know what that number for next year is going to be yet. Special ed, and this is based on trend, an increase of about $35,000, which represent approximately 0.1% of our overall special ed budget. So I'm not looking at anything crazy there. And then we, of course, have the increase to PSERS and Social Security rebate from the state, which, of course, the state subsidizes half of those costs, and the increase of the transportation subsidy for a total on the state side of about $1.2 million. Federal, less than 1%, not changing it. No change there on that level. So if you see how it all stacks up, what we're talking about from organic growth, we're talking about an increase of about $2.1 million. That's on our organic growth, which represents about a 1.3% increase year over year in our revenue model. I'm going to come back to that number in a couple of slides just so we can do a little comparative. Looking at the expense side of the budget, so and some of the major items. So 70% is still about the personnel cost. That's salaries, bennies, fringes, all of that type of stuff. On the teacher side, the employee increases when you take into account retirements and filling those retirement positions. I'm not talking about any new positions here. The impact to the budget on that line item is about $1.4 million net. That's all in with benefits. In the administration and support, nurses, custodians, maintenance, aides, and so on, we're talking about an increase of about $480,000, which is about a 3% year-over-year increase, which is what we would expect on that line item. Then we look in the next section, we're looking at new hires, new positions in the district. We're looking at adding special education teachers and aides to handle that growing need. We're looking at adding some non-special ed teachers as well, security personnel, and then some support staff. All in all, about $3.3 million added to the budget on that item. Non-personnel items, special education services, again, services we get from outside entities, or if we have to place students someplace, looking at an increase of about 117. Transportation. The Western Center tuition, Dr. Dreschler actually addressed a piece of this a month ago. About our portion of that is about $167,000. What gets added onto that as well is our portion of the debt service, which also follows a 5-year trailing ADM model. So that is about somewhere in the somewhere in the $100,000 range. So that's where that $250 comes from. Charter school tuition is always a challenge. That's a growing rate year over year, depending on how the monies that we spend on students here, the students that go to charters are entitled to that same amount. So we have to fund for that as well. Some tech equipment, some other stuff, district-wide, inflation, you name it. But the total there, looking at about almost $4.8 million of an increase. So how that stacks up looks something like this. You're talking about a $169 million budget up from $164.5. About, as I said, about almost a $4.8 million increase, about over an average year-over-year budget increase of 2.9%. You'll recall 2 slides ago I said the revenues grew organically at 1.3. So we're watching the expenses grow a little bit quicker than the revenue side of the ledger. Now, comparatively, for that 2.9%, just so you know, last year, the year-over-year expenditure increase was about 4.2. The year before that, about 4.3. So it has come down. A lot of it has to do with where we are in the professional contract. So what that does is it creates a little bit of a budget gap. So we look at the difference between the revenues and the expenses. We always have an appropriation of about $4 million from the fund balance should the bottom fall out, which thankfully it has not ever, since I've been here, since before I've been here. Excuse me. We've also budgeted conservatively over the years, since before I've even been here, where we were able to set money aside into some reserves. We had set aside approximately $4 million to offset some of the crazy increases that were coming through in PSERS. And then we were also able to set some money aside based on some refinancings that we have done, some of our debt. And we use some of those, we call it one-time money, we use some of those dollars, to offset the increases as we go over time till we get to my favorite thing, the debt cliff, which we're looking at in 2023. So we're managing our money to there, but all in all, we're still looking at about a $2.4 million budget gap. And as Mr. DeBello had mentioned last week, what that equates to is approximately a 2.3% tax increase, which would equate to about $61.88 on a $100,000 assessment. So the interesting thing about that is, is property taxes, different than income taxes, are based on a flat line amount. They're based on an assessment that does not change, unlike income tax, which goes right in line with what your income. You get a 5% increase in your wages, your tax just went up 5% as well, even though the rate didn't change. This works kind of the opposite way. So if I look comparatively, I just get kind of interesting things to look at. If I look comparatively over 5-year blocks for the past 20 years, you can see where those tax changes have come down over the years. All the way from a 6% was the average, 5-year average about 20 years ago. Now we're down to about 1.3. So I like the direction. Looking at how we stack up against our neighbors, Springford, this is actually the 18-19 millage rates. But even when you factor in a 2.3%, will be about 2.747 or 27.47. So we're still going to fall within there and retain that 6th lowest millage rate in the county. And then some interesting statistics. We all saw why we do this. That was everything that preceded me, I guess. But what's interesting is Springford has the 4th highest student population in the area. We have the 6th lowest millage rate. We've reduced our debt approximately $162 million over the past 10 years, down from about 267, that's debt and interest obligation, down from about 267 million 10 years ago to about 104 now. I mentioned the conservative budgeting approach that we use, and that has, of course, helped us achieve the Moody's rating for not just this past borrowing that we did about a year ago, but also the refi a little bit before that of AA1 up from AA2. I keep asking when we get to AAA. They keep telling me, Moody's keeps telling me that we'll get there when the state gets its stuff all squared away. When that happens, then we can start talking about that. Springford, of course, is rated, as many administrators have stood at this podium and said and talked about, one of the top districts in the state. And the high school, of course, is not only recognized as a top high school in the state, but also in the country. So from here, we're looking at, tonight in the board agenda, we're looking at, there's a adoption of this proposed final budget on the agenda for tonight. From there, we by May the 7th, we'll make the budget public on PDE Form 2028 as required. We'll also advertise by May 17th so that when we reconvene in May after Memorial Day, we can hopefully put this thing to bed once, for once, not right at the deadline, and give hopefully my staff and the tax collector staff a little bit of breathing room in getting all of that done. So, to use the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that.
Jim, thank you. Couple things. One is that as the board, as a reminder to the board, we moved this whole process up 1 month. So that's why we're in April doing this budget presentation to try to get, like Mr. Fink said, give his staff and give the tax collectors more breathing room to prepare and get the tax bills ready to be sent out. A couple things I wanted to go back and talk about real quick is, one is when you talked about, I just want to make sure we're clear that everyone understands what you're saying. Because we have no idea what the state will or will not be doing this year, because unlike school districts, we never know when they're going to pass the budget, and we have to have the budget passed by a certain timeline. We use last year's funding numbers because it's hard to budget knowing what we may or may not get. So it's not next year's funding numbers. We're still waiting for this year's funding numbers, but we're using last year's funding numbers.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Which-
because
Which is the normal process, because that's sort of how the
Right.
state continues to operate.
Right, yeah, because, you know,
Because we're required to have a balanced budget by June 30th, but the state is not.
right, the state could do whatever they want. The other thing which we talked about several times, couple things. One is the special education funding. Like you said, we provide a top-notch, excellent program here for our students and our budget for that portion is about $35 million. And I just want to reiterate that, again, we're only getting about $5 million of total from the state and federal government, although they mandate $35 million, pretty much everything they were doing, although it's well-deserved for the students. And we need to address and take care of our students with their special needs in that, which I stand behind wholeheartedly. But again, the state has these mandates. They're wonderful at coming up with mandates, but they have no dollars associated to those mandates. So this is a prime example of $35 million in mandates, $5 million from the state and federal government. You also talked about the Moody's rating, and I want to reiterate the reason we put a plan in place. We started 10 years ago when I got on the board, and a few of others got on the board. The district was in dire straits financially, and we put a plan in place to get this district not only financially sound, but we turned it into one of the top districts in the state. And we were able to pay off, like you said, $160-some million of that district debt. And you would think that we'd get a better Moody's rating on that, but because, again, we're tied to the state, our Moody's rating is kind of stuck where it is right now because the state, again, is a fiasco. Charter school funding, we're at, about $3 million that we're putting out of the district taxpayer money?
That's correct.
And how much do we get from the state to offset that $3 million?
Nothing.
Right. But they have a plan for the last 8 years. But the good thing out of all of this is that we have the debt drop-off, right? And we've been planning this. We're a few years away. We know that. And that's when you said, through the financial planning of what we've been doing over the last couple of years and how we've been able to cut, because I think you said in your presentation somewhere along the line where our expenses were growing like over the years at 8-9% at some years.
That was well before I was
Right,
here.
before,
but yes.
right, and that was before we start putting these financial strategies in place. And to get the district down to on average of a 3% growth demonstrates that not only are we properly funding education and growing education within Spring-Ford, because we are one of the top districts with zero help from the state, we're able to provide what we're providing for our students and keeping our annual growth down to about 3%. So the board and your staff is doing an amazing job. And finally, when we talk about the district debt, when you say 2023, our annual debt services, we're projected to drop.
It's going to go from approximately 14.5 million where it is now to
Right.
approximately just slightly over 9.
Right, so we're going to see and then there's going to be another drop off. It's 3 years after that.
Yeah, about 2 years.
2 years after that. So if we continue down this path that we're going, this district within, I believe it was 8 years, that the debt will be completely paid off.
It'd be a little longer than 8 years, but yeah, it would, depending on how you wanted to use those savings, you could start speed paying down some of
Right.
that debt as well.
Well, with the district, the drop off, right, when we hit that debt service, we'll be able to start applying those funds strategically to pay off. And what people need to understand that it's extremely rare in the state of Pennsylvania for a school district the size of Spring-Ford for how well we provide education and curriculum for our students and all the programs that you see that are being provided by 80% of that's coming from the local tax base, to be completely debt-free within 8+ years is an incredible task. And that's the power of what this board's been doing over the last several years. And I know people get frustrated when we have to do, 1% to 2% tax increase. But in the grand picture of everything, to know that where we were, where this district was at a point of financially being broken, it was financially broken because when I got on board, we inherited almost a $12 million deficit. From going from that point to being completely paid off within 8 to 9 years is phenomenal, and knowing that what we provide for our students, and you saw a big portion of that this evening, and in the upcoming weeks, we'll also, upcoming meetings, we'll also be recognizing our students for academic excellence. So again, I mean, I just hope and realize that people understand that they live in a district and they live in a community that they are funding, 80% of the funding's coming locally, and they are the ones that are making Spring-Ford what it is because of their hard-earned tax dollars. Because again, when you look at, because the funding formula is a joke, we all know that. They talk about it, it's a joke, but when we know 80% of it, the money's coming from our local tax base, that's the community. We have a strong community, we have a proud community, and the community stands behind this district, and we're making it collectively what Spring-Ford is. So thank you for putting this, and really, I know I put the pressure, the screws to you over the last couple months to keep getting the numbers down, but to be at index, knowing that we have, the growth that we have, you guys are doing an incredible job, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, no, go ahead.
I won't be as long as Tom, Jim, but outstanding job. Very proud of you. Very proud of the product that you put out.
Thank you.
And I've noticed several members of the audience has taken pictures of the budget. We're very transparent. Everything that budget will be on the website, so you'll be free to go in there and look at it.
So it's funny you mentioned that because I was going to thank you also for your presentation and for the transparency that you've brought to the whole process since you've been here. I think consistently every month at the committee meetings, every year with the budgeting process, it's an open book. It's very transparent. It's easy to follow because you use the same process, the same format. You can see year over year. You explain it very clearly. So I think it's a great service to the community, to the district, to the board members to help us with get the information we need to make the decisions we have to make. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to reiterate that also, just it's so concise, it's so well done. The presentation makes sense, it's coherent, it's easy for us all to follow. As complicated as this budget is, you make it so that it's easy to follow and to understand your plan and your projected path going forward. So we thank you for sharing that with all of us here. It'll be on the website, as Mr. Jackson said, so everybody can see it. And because of your ability to put it together so nicely and in such a nice package, it's easy for people to understand it also. So thank you.
Thank you.
One last thing. This is outside of Mr. Fink. The community is welcome to come here. That mic sits there. You have 3 minutes. If you want more than 3 minutes, I'll push for 5. Everything's above board here. That mic is there. Come here, ask your questions. We'll get your answers. Or the committee meetings. Everything is open. Thank you.
And Jim, just real quick, sorry, but again, I want to thank the board because it was several years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, when we pushed to reinvent or re-engineer the whole business operations. When we restructured and we brought in a CFO and Mary as a controller and your staff accountants and all that. You guys are doing a great job. And the power behind what we've been doing with the 7-year rolling budget, and I think this board has a much clearer picture than what we've seen in the past. And knowing that this is where we are this year and already knowing, the obstacles that we're going to have next year that we have to deal with. So I'm glad, and we, as reminding the board, we actually were at the PSBA conference and presented what we were doing, and that's being, utilized by districts across Pennsylvania as well, as far as us being innovative in actually taking a new look and saying we have to change the way, we do things here at Spring-Ford, and we took more of a corporate structure, like I said, with bringing a CFO. And people even question, what do you mean a CFO and a controller and all that? And it's just paid off because what you've been able to do with Mary and your staff and being able to get the expenses and everything down to that average of 3% growth per year again, it's an incredible task for the community to understand that we're only growing at 3%. So thank you.
Yet we're continuing to grow academically, musically, athletically. We're leading the way in all of those areas across this area, and we're doing it responsibly. So thank you.
And in addition to that, we haven't stopped spending for the needs of these kids. So, as you'll see even tonight, as I give my presentation later, we're still buying books. We're still doing the things that are important for these kids, and we're going to see the rollout next year of the 9th grade deployment. So we're doing things very methodically, and that all starts with your office, because always the first question is, have you talked to Jim? Have you talked to Jim? Is it in your budget? And have you talked to Jim? So thank you for continuing to make this process easy to understand, concise, and valuable to all of us. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I won't start putting pressure on you for next year yet.
Here we go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Nope. All right. Committee reports, student rep.
Okay, this is our April student report. So what happened in April? Well, we just had our spring break, which was very fun, which was April 17th to the 22nd, if you didn't know that. And some of our student athletes signed their letters of intent for the colleges they committed to for next year. Some of our athletes did. We still have others that have to still sign theirs. Along with that, we also had the Limerick to Limerick exchange, where our Spring Forward students got the chance to go to Ireland from April 6th to April 20th. And those are just some pictures that I got some from friends that they took. I think that's how you spell Killarney National Park, which is really pretty. And the next one is just some other pictures that they took with national parks, museums, biking, horseback. That was fun. Okay, what's coming up? So we have the String Jamboree, which is April 25th, 7 to 9 p.m. at the 1012 Gymnasium. Then we have Prom, which is April 27th at 6 p.m. at Drexelbrook. And Senior Decision Day, which is May 1st, 7 to 8:25 p.m. to be exact, a.m. at the 10 to 12 cafeteria. And AP exams, which are May 6th to the 17th. Also, we have a little sneak peek for you guys regarding our student ambassador program and how legit we are. Oh, no. You'll see pictures in the
That'll
next
be
report,
next week.
promise. Okay, let's see. We'll model them for you. You won't. Let's show them. We'll model them. Okay.
Now, Tom, you remember you and I agreed to pay for these, right? All right.
Let's see, is there an emblem on them? No, not yet. They have to buy them first.
Hey, we're gonna honor our commitment on this, all right? Don't worry, we got it covered.
Is that your full report?
That one's female costume.
Yeah. So you might have a male and a female.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's your full report?
And that is a report.
As always, great job. Now, is this, you got one more meeting for both of you and then that's it? Or two more meetings?
Yep.
Two more?
May's your last one, right?
Yeah, May's your last.
The second one?
May we
Two
say
more.
farewell?
And then you'll be back at the August meeting, right?
I'll be back. I'm not going that far.
Yeah, guys, I'll tell you, I want to compliment you again. You really have, since you partnered up, you guys have done an incredible job all year with your student presentation. So you really raised the bar. So, and then you're going to have a new partner next year, so you have to break them in right.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, curriculum.
Thank you. The Curriculum and Technology Committee met on Tuesday, April 2nd in the district office conference room. The meeting started off with our good news segment, which was previously announced, and that is that Springford received the Best Communities for Music Education Award. We're a little behind just because the meeting happened in early April. Next, we received an overview of the Library and Media Department from Mrs. O'Brien, who went through a PowerPoint showing the many changes in libraries and as we move more towards Makerspace, which is similar to the Innovation Center right here in the high school. We switched things up this meeting and covered technology portion of the agenda first, that through Mr. Catalano. Mr. Catalano first gave us an update on the Modernized Learning update, which is that the 700 laptops which were purchased last month should arrive in the next few weeks, and this again was in preparation for the 9th grade deployment in the fall. The technology team will be holding 4 separate training sessions at the end of the year to make sure the faculty is fully trained on their devices. Next, we received a fresh service update, and this is the new help desk and inventory system, which is now fully functional and in production, and it is helping to be more efficient in assisting staff and students and giving us accurate inventory. Lastly, on the technology side, Mr. Catalano updated the committee on the phone system search. He is assessing 4 options for the phone system in the district. They are in the process of comparing the 4 options and picking the one that makes the most sense for the district. If all goes well, the new system will be deployed over this summer. The 4 options will be shown to the curriculum committee in early May and hopefully presented to the full board after that. On the curriculum side, Mrs. Bass discussed the purchase for new FCS materials from grades 7 to 12, and that is on the agenda for approval tonight. We also received an update on the Learn and Earn credits. This is professional development that is hitting all of the right features and effective professional development. This is through hands-on, real-time professional development opportunities that teachers are experiencing professional learning in a whole new way. Feedback is extremely positive. Teachers are very happy, and requests for coaching have actually increased as a result. The team has had 6 sessions with 54 teachers participating so far. Next, Mrs. Gardy gave some ELA updates, and that is that professional learning networks are continuing to meet for grades 1 through 8. She's meeting with them monthly. English teachers in grades 9 to 12 are participating in a book study. The book study the book is discussed monthly at their department meeting. MAP testing for grades 1, 2, and 8 went well, and the teachers are reviewing reports and discussing during data meetings. K-6 Family Literacy Night was held on March 26th in the cafeteria. Camp Read Some More had a really great turnout, so we're very happy to hear that. The literacy coaches have been working with teachers in developing checks for understanding and targeted checks. Kindergarten registration has begun. Families are being offered a screening time for determining if they meet the pre-kindergarten summer program requirements. Those screenings will happen in the middle of May with pre-kindergarten summer programs scheduled at Brooke beginning in June and going through the end of July. And she also covered the federal programming piece for the curriculum and technology side, and that she's been working on the requirements for our Title I, II, and IV programs, ongoing monitoring of these programs and student performance. Grant revision window has opened, and Mrs. Gardy, Mrs. Bass, and Mrs. David Heitzer have submitted grant revisions, which were due April 12th. Mrs. Rockland provided us a math update, and she indicated that she and Mrs. Fittler, who is our long-term sub-math coach, are presenting a math roadshow to all K-4 teachers, and this is for the Reboot 2019 of our math program, and it is off to a great start. May 21st will be the full day of math professional learning for all K-4 teachers. The next curriculum and technology meeting is May 7th, 6:30 in the district office. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Policy?
Okay, so policy met this evening before our meeting here. We met at about 6 o'clock, so we would have ample time to cover a number of topics. We first talked about the acceptable use of the computers, network internet, electronic communications, and information systems, and Mr. Catalano presented some feedback from the previous committee meeting. He had 10 bullet points that he went over. He had already crafted responses to those 10 inquiries that were made and had those reviewed by the solicitor before coming to the meeting tonight. So our recommendation from the committee is to place this on the agenda for a first reading. The second piece that we covered was the school police officers and security personnel, and Chief Boyer discussed the feedback and changes upon the previous policy committee meeting, and had those changes also reviewed by Mr. Fitzgerald prior to the meeting. The committee recommendation was again to place that policy for a first read on the agenda. We then went into a follow-up discussion on your and my favorite policy, use of facilities. And yeah, so we did address the follow-up feedback from the March 18th presentation that Dr. Roach had done an amazing job at the microphone, so I do thank him for that. So we did have a discussion on the feedback, and we worked with some of the committee members, Mrs. Blitzer, myself, and the community members to help answer questions. There is a smaller finalized list of topics that will be addressed and covered in the May 13th policy meeting, at which time we would very much like to request the presence of Mr. Fink to again return to that meeting on May 13th. Yeah, we will meet at 7:30 in the district office, our usual time and day. So hope you'll be there. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions about policy?
No.
No. Okay. So while I have your attention, though, it would have been also this time that we would have done a community relations committee meeting, but due to some scheduling conflicts, we did not have that. However, I did
Did
get
you
an
have the
update.
meeting?
No, but I do have an
Okay, well,
update
it's
on
not on the agenda.
information. Okay. So you don't want that information? Okay. All right. I'll save it for board comment.
You have to stick to the agenda. You can't just throw stuff out there, right, Mr. Fitzgerald? You're ready to jump on her, so I saved you.
I get very nervous, so.
I know, I saw you. You're getting.
So sorry, I'll wait till the end.
I saw Dr. Nugent step out. I thought he was going to come back, but I did have a question for curriculum, but I was holding it for Dr. Nugent to come back. But maybe, Ms. Bash, you could answer it, or Don, maybe you can. I thought I heard that there was a student that took an AP test that scored a
Yes,
not
Caitlin.
only a perfect, but beyond perfect or something. So do you want to give a
Perfect.
comment on that?
Love her.
It
Zero
was
wrong.
the AP government test, and she got the total number of possible points awarded on the test. So that's people taking it globally and within the United States. It's phenomenal.
I think there were a total of 113 students in the world that received perfect scores, and Caitlin McGill was one of them.
And she's also one of the people who was was recognized
National Merit.
for national merit. Yep.
And if I remember correctly, that's the second student now that scored, because didn't we have one a couple of years ago that got a perfect score in the psych,
Yes.
the psych
for
exam?
That
Psych-
was in 13.
13.
Yep.
So, yeah, great. Dr. Nugent was here and he had to step out, so I was waiting, but that's why I wanted to. But that's excellent, so thank you. Okay, Western Center.
The Joint Operating Committee of the Western Montgomery Career and Technology Center met on April the 1st. The report by the Administrative Director, Mr. Morrison, gave the enrollment figures at that point in time at 637 students. Of that 637, the unofficial numbers are 176 from Pottsgrove, 242 from Springford, and 223 from Upper Perk. So we have the largest number of students, and therefore the largest proportion of the budget comes from our district.
Yeah, but don't forget, we paid majority of the money to remodel the school too, so we're taking full advantage of it.
Is that
Right out
it? Oh, thank you for that clarification. The students are took the NOCTI exam. NOCTI is the National Occupational Testing Institute exam to test the students for their abilities to be proficient in the career choices that they've chosen. The results show that the Western Center has achieved a 93.8% competent and advanced score for NOCTI. This marks the 6th straight year of scoring over the state average of 88%. So that's 93.8 versus 88% for the state average. And it's the 6th consecutive year of scoring above 90%. Another outstanding number is that 83.8% of our special ed population scored competent and advanced as well, with 62% scoring advanced overall. So congratulations to the students at the Western Center for their terrific performance, and to the teachers and administration of the Western Center for doing a wonderful job with our students out there.
Dr. Dressler?
Yes.
With that information that you just shared, I can give you specific Springford information if you'd like that.
Oh, please, yes.
Separate from that, 95% of Springford students were competent and advanced, and 89% special ed competent and advanced. So higher than the averages that you just shared.
Well, thank you. The, may I continue? Okay. Senator Mensch visited the center on March the 13th to take a tour of the Western Center to learn about all of our programs, and was sufficiently impressed with the fine programs that we're offering. On April the 12th, the Secretary of the Department of Labor and Industry, Jerry Alexiak, visited the center and introduced a new program that Governor Wolf is funding, or trying to fund, an ongoing commitment to expanding job training opportunities and career and technical education for students and adult learners in Southeast Pennsylvania through the proposed State Workforce Education and Accountability Program, better known as SWEEP. Secretary Alexiak toured some of the Western Montgomery Career and Technology Center's job training programs, and also talked about the SWEEP program, which builds on something called PA Smart that was launched last year. PA Smart encourages school, business, and community partnerships to prepare people for jobs of today and the future. Through PA Smart grants, the Wolf administration provided nearly $30 million to bolster STEM and computer science in schools, and expanding apprenticeships and job training. So this state government, I know you have much criticism over this, Mr. DeBell, is trying to do its best to create job opportunities for our students. On a lighter note, on May the 6th is the last community dinner of the season. There will be a Greek-themed dinner, so get your reservations in as soon as possible because these are always tremendously popular events. And finally, the annual car show will be held on May the 4th. Any car is welcome, and it's free, but admission is free, but we would greatly appreciate any donations that help to support the Skills USA program and their automotive trip to SEMA. That is the end of the Western Center report. Any questions?
How much of that grant money came to the Western Center?
I don't have those numbers.
Well.
Oh, do you want me to find that out? Well,
please.
I'll see what I can do for you.
And again, Chris Martin is coming in May?
Yes.
He's going to be
I
on
was
the
just
agenda.
going to say that.
Next, the Pennsylvania School Board Association report. On the weekend of March the 30th, I attended the National School Board Association Conference, which this year, for I think the first time, was held in Philadelphia. I'll mention some of the talks that I went to. Though there were hundreds of talks that I could not attend, but the keynote speaker named Johnny Taylor gave
Is that your PSBA? That's not.
Yes,
no.
I just eased right into that. Is that okay?
I just cut her off of an agenda item.
Oh, but this one is listed here.
Where? PSBA.
Yes. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Thank you. To satisfy Mr. Dennett, is Mr. Dennett speaking to us? Well, yeah, I know, but even though he's in Australia, he often lurks at the telephone. He did? Well, that's too bad. Anyway, some interesting things that were mentioned at this keynote speaker talk was that we are now at a 4% unemployment rate, which is essentially full employment, but that we are experiencing an incredibly low birth rate in this country. 7.3 million jobs are available, which are not being filled. And we're graduating only 3.6 million high school grads every year, 3.6 graduates and 7.3 million jobs available. And there are 6 million people actually still looking for jobs, even though we have full employment. As another interesting statistic, if we graduate 100 students, about 70% of them will want to go to college. But after the first year, 30% of them drop out, which means that of that 100 students, the majority of them will not have a college degree at the end of that 4-year period, because you'll have 52% that are not college graduates. A survey of employers said that 92% of employers say that most of our graduates come out of high school without any skills. As an example, they can't write a letter that is 2 paragraphs long. So Mr. Taylor suggested that we update our curriculum, and I think we are doing a good job of that here, as illustrated by this program that we did, even making cupcakes, where it displayed the soft skills that are necessary in today's workforce, where you have decision-making, teamwork, and a lot of other skills were demonstrated by this wonderful group of students, even making pizza bubble bread, which I don't know whether I'll ever see that on the Great British Baking Show, but that sounds like a beauty. He also suggested that we consider dealing with some hard skills, such as writing, teaching writing, problem-solving skills, technology such as teaching our students how to use Excel, for instance. That's a wonderful skill for our students, and public speaking. And I appreciate the fact that as our students came up here to receive their awards, they were all forced to take hold of the microphone and speak their names as they step and the direction of public speaking because it is difficult at that age to just speak in front of any group. So I commend the teachers and the people running these award ceremonies on having the students actually get involved. A second talk that I thought was really important was presented by the Apple people, and they always put on terrific programs. The program they had was Everyone Can Code, and they talk about the Apple App Store, which started 10 years ago, and which has created roughly 2 million apps in that 10-year period. They hire a lot of non-degree college students. 50% of their employees are non-college graduates. Of the jobs in that field, there were 1,530,000 jobs created by the App Store at Apple. 0.5 million jobs are out there available for people to do programming work. Question? No? I'm sorry? Yeah, okay, fine. The Apple app programming is called Swift, and of course, Apple doesn't do these talks for nothing. They're there to try to sell an Apple product, but they do put out a terrific product. And they also have a program of certification so that people that go through this and learn these programming skills, which are taught at high schools, by the way, can become employed even without college degrees. And many of these students can learn to code and create apps, and there's a big market for people to work in that kind of field. Finally, the conference, I call him the rock star of the conference, is a man named James Spellows, who gives talks at every conference, school board, National School Board and Pennsylvania School Board Association meeting I've ever been to, where he talks about, well, in this particular case, cool web tools and seminars offered by Google. He also gives great talks on security and computers. First time I was introduced to Mr. Spellows' talks, I saw all these people swarming into this talk at the Pennsylvania School Board Association meeting. I said, "Where is everybody going?" "Well, we're going to hear Mr. Spellows." And by the time I got there was standing room only. So this guy is incredibly popular. And I have a copy of the handout that covers his talk, if anybody, the board, wants a copy of this, on all the tricks you can learn about how to do Google work and do your research through Google with a lot of shortcuts. So, well, so there's a lot of good things always at these National School Board Association meetings and Pennsylvania School Board Association meetings. As long as you use your wits about you to weed out the snake oil salesmen and hucksters who are there, also trying to make a lot of money selling products that are of perhaps minimal use, but you know, some of these people are saying, "Well, we have this product we'll sell you for $500, but today we'll give it to you for $39.95 if you buy it by 5 o'clock today." You know, this is this is really suspicious of some of the people that give some of the talks. But after you've gone to enough of these, you find out who the people are that are really doing the best best things for education, and weed through the people that are the real true hucksters. So anyway, it was a very good conference, and I suggest that after I leave the board that you send people to the National and to the Pennsylvania School Board Association meetings, because there's always tremendous amount to be learned. And I hope that we will be represented at these meetings by presenting talks about the wonderful things that we have accomplished in this school district. Questions?
Did you buy any of those products?
Well, you didn't lend me your credit card. I certainly would have if you had. Or Mr. Fink didn't let me have a credit card either. I'm still waiting to be reimbursed for my travel expenses from Mr. Fink. I didn't notice that in the budget items up there, so. But I'm sure he's working on it feverishly.
So a lot of the things that you talked about that school districts should be providing, we're actually providing most of that already. One of the things that schools are looking at that, you know, is actually going back to cursive writing. That's an interesting topic out there as far as what districts are doing and not doing. So it'd be interesting to see how many districts, you know, adopt that, going back to, you know, cursive writing, which goes like what you talked about with kids learning to be able to articulate in 2 paragraphs. So
Even simpler than that, one of the great skills that they said we need to teach our students is called a soft skill called dependability and honesty. And I mean, those are things that are, believe it or not, in somewhat short supply.
that's
among
teenage
a lot
101, right?
Exactly. So,
All right. Legislative Committee.
Meeting was canceled on April 17th, but we did receive a couple just quick updates. The House Committee on Education did meet on the 17th. They've been going through really kind of nothing worth much of anything in terms of House Bill 1031, 1196, and 1210, all of which were approved in the committee. Really just we're addressing outdated provisions. So those kinds of things, language changes, but nothing significant. The one thing that we are still really pushing again is the cyber charter and tuition bills. That's, you know, that's the Senate Bill 34 and House Bill 526. And again, that's where if we have an in-house cyber charter program, then we are not responsible to pay for students to attend an outside cyber charter program. It appears that there's really no appetite right now for anybody to address funding issues specific to charter schools. And again, as Mr. Fink shared, we are, you know, liable for over $3 million towards charter schools for our students. And so this is a big issue. Specifically, you know, it's huge for us. We do have an in-house cyber charter school, and so we could certainly take advantage of one of these bills. But you know, it's something that we need to continue to push back to our representatives to make sure that they're hearing our voices. They understand, you know, what they're putting us through, and how that trickles down to our taxpayers through budgetary impacts. So it's really incumbent not just on the board members, not just on the school district, but on all of the members of our community to reach out, to continue to push and to continue to fight for cyber charter tuition reform and funding reform.
Okay, so I just have to ask,
Yes.
as much as I did want to hear about the legislative, and I did, a meeting didn't take place, yet we got a report. So I just want to throw that out there, that I just wanted to share the information about.
She gave a legislative update.
There was no meeting.
You could give your report at the end.
Thank you.
The charter bill, we got to be careful what you're saying, because right now, the bills that have been presented, it's very subjective as far as if you have a cyber charter school in your school.
Again, and I mean, we've talked about that a number of times. So actually, House Bill 526 just says if we have an in-house cyber charter school, it's Senate Bill 34 that has the language that says is material,
Right.
materially
There's a lot of
similar
outs,
to,
right.
So, you know, again, yes, without question, and but at this point, neither is moving anywhere. Neither of the committees really have the appetite to address any kind of charter funding issues. You know, I think the lobbyists are hot on the tail, but with that, I will be attending the Day of Advocacy on Monday in Harrisburg, meeting with our legislators and continuing to express the needs of our district and represent our constituents to show that this is something that we need to continue to push forward with.
What are the legislators doing?
The Day of Advocacy. So that's through PSBA, Pennsylvania School Board Association, along with Pennsylvania Association of Intermediate Units, and Pennsylvania Association of School Administrators have all come together and put together a day of advocacy. You should have probably gotten it like in your daily email notifications from PSBA. And it's a free, day, but an opportunity to go to Harrisburg to meet with your legislators, and to continue to push forward some of the critical issues like basic education funding, special education funding, charter, finance reform, those kinds of things.
Well, hopefully the legislators will meet with us here as opposed to going to Harrisburg.
Hey,
I know you are. That's why I said it.
we've gone to down there numerous times. This isn't, so we'll see how that turns out.
Hold on.
No. Those protocols.
Public can't.
I'll clarify, there's an opportunity to speak at the end, and we record, so when you speak from the audience, you can't hear. So at the end, there's an open mic, you can come up and have an opportunity to speak then.
I just want to clarify. I think we'll have to make sure the board will be supportive. I mean, we have a requirement that you are a member of the community to speak. So if you're going to want to relax that's going to be your prerogative. But we have a protocol.
Okay, so that's it? Any other questions?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, MCIU meeting's actually tomorrow night, but we are talking about, as last month, which continuing to this month, is that a lot of business is being put, or the meeting is a lot of talk about remodeling. I want to keep the board up to date on this, is the old IU building that we moved out of to move down to Norristown. Because of the pre-K and all the programs that we're offering and the success at the IU of these programs, we actually are utilizing the old building again as well. So we're looking at investing somewhere between $7 and $11 million. $7 to $10 million in remodeling costs, because these programs need to exist in Montgomery County, and that's about where we could fit it right now. So there is a lot of talk about that as well. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vella. Update on modernized learning. At the current year, we've run approximately 5 cohorts of teachers, which equals to approximately 75 teachers that we've trained using the instructional strategies that we packaged in our modernized learning. That includes all of our 9th grade teachers. We also have a training schedule for all of our 10 through 12. We'll make sure all the teachers at the 10 through 12 building that have not been trained as of yet, they will be picked up next year. In addition, our training for modernized learning instructional strategies have been included in our induction program, so every new group of teachers that we hire go through that program. As the board knows, we've ordered our laptops and we're ready for deployment next year. We've put together the tech rooms, and the supports are in place at the 9th grade center to deploy this program for the beginning of next year. In addition, we are currently finalizing our acceptable user policy. We reviewed that tonight in policy committee meeting with the associated adjustments that needed to be made. Our legal counsel has given us the green light to move forward with that particular policy. So we're ready to go with our modernized learning. As far as an update on safety, security, and emergency management, we continue to work on training our annual training for our students in the Safe to Say program that the Attorney General's office pushed out. We have also, we're continuing our Stop the Bleed training, which is basically a trauma situation where we try to teach our faculty how to respond to trauma situations. We also have Stop the Bleed kits, which are trauma kits all throughout all of our buildings throughout the district. We are continuing our ALICE training, which is ongoing, which is our emergency preparedness drill, intruder drill, if you will. And we're doing that. We're continuing to do that, K through 12. I'm happy to report that, unbelievably, Chief Boyer has completed a policy manual or procedural manual for the police department that we've created here in the district. And that was a yeoman's job there, getting that together, but he was able to pull it together this year, much to my surprise. So thank you, Chief, for doing that. We needed that in the department. I also want to acknowledge that having our own police department here in the district has provided a level of security for our staff and students that is extremely unique in many school districts. And so we are very proud of taking our student safety to the level that we've taken it and providing a safe learning environment for our students to the extent that we possibly can. And then finally, dovetailing on the fact that that our students are coming back from Ireland, Dr. Nugent and Frau Huss have returned from Germany. We're in the process of establishing another exchange program with a school in Stuttgart, Germany. Administrators and teachers from that school visited us 2 weeks before the Easter break, and then Dr. Nugent and Frau Huss traveled over there the following week to get a lay of the land, if you will, and visit the school and look at the opportunity that's available to us. In-house, we'll be working on establishing the logistics for this program and how it's going to work. It will be a little different than from the Irish program in the sense that 1 year we'll host students from Stuttgart, and then the following year they'll host us. And so it's a year lag, but we're in the process of putting that together. Dr. Nugent will be here in May to give us a more thorough update on that exchange program that we're looking to establish. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
With the exchange program, will that be open to the German 3-4 class then? Like
Yes.
the
It's
combined?
open to everybody.
Oh, it's open to all, okay.
All students, yep, all students.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, but I thought with German it would be
So because it's
the
every other
German
year, is it
speaking
just
students,
every
like
other
the
senior
students-
class, or are they offering it?
Pardon?
If it's every other year?
Yes.
Is it every other senior class, or do they offer it?
Well, the way it would work out is their students would come to us next year, and they would stay with our students, and then the following year, our students would go over. So it would be, our students would be juniors when they host and seniors when they go.
Dr. Gooden, does the handbook need to be vetted by solicitor?
The policy manual?
Yeah.
That's correct.
It has been ours? Okay. Procedural manual.
We've seen the procedural manual to ensure that it's consistent with current laws.
And I believe it's also, HR has gone through it too, right? Right. Yeah, it's totally reviewed. One of the things that Dr. Goon was touching upon with our established police department, again, us leading the way with building this out. I know Chief Boyer talked about this. I believe I mentioned at the property committee update as well, that many districts are reaching out to Springford and asking, Chief Boyer, what we're doing, how we're doing it, so once again, we're being viewed as a leading district in something that's extremely important. So again, Chief Boyer's doing a great job and his staff, and I know we'll be growing that this upcoming year as well. Do you want to give you real quick?
Thank you. Yes, I've been waiting, so I would like to, very quickly. So the Office of Communications, Marketing, and Media has some busy weeks ahead as we approach the end of the year. Today and tomorrow, RCTV will be working on a spotlight video featuring the FPC, the Future Planning Center, and their two-day financial literacy fair that's held during each of the social studies classes. Upcoming events, just a list of those to be quick. The annual String Jamboree is on April 25th, and boy, has that program grown since I got on here. The number of students that are participating in instruments, the string instruments, it's amazing. The Springford 5K is this Friday, the 26th, Decision Day, May 1st, Senior Impact Awards, May 16th, Broadcast Major Film Fest screening, May 22nd, and then, of course, graduation on June 14th. There's lots of other events that are going on, so please take watch and look for those. And also to mention that the team also received 2 awards of honor from PennSPRA, the Pennsylvania School Public Relations Association. One was for the school district's use of Instagram, and the other for RCTV's Innovation Center Spotlight video, which I believe some of us were present for when that was filmed. So our next community relations formal meeting will be on June 10th before we break for summer, and thank you for letting me put that in there.
Great report, thank you.
Can I just piggyback off of that? So May 1st is Decision Day. I think it's really, really important that folks know, regardless of whether somebody's going to be working, going into the military, going to a 2-year college, a 4-year college, whatever the gap year, whatever they're going to be doing, that Decision Day is for all of our seniors to celebrate their next step. And I know that there's been confusion in different years. I know when my daughter was a senior, later that day, I got a couple of messages saying, oh, I didn't know my child's going to Monco, and I didn't know that we could attend that. So, you know, it's something just to reiterate that that's a really exciting time for our seniors and for their families, and it's open to the entire senior class. So,
Yeah, we certainly make that, you know, known to the students that it's their decision day, whatever decision they're making.
Right. That's
a whole different ballgame.
All right, great, all right. Let's move on with the agenda. Meeting minutes, A and B. Do I have a motion? Motion second, any comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Personnel, A through N. Motion, do I have a second? Second, motion second, any comment?
I'd like to make 2 comments. First, congratulating Mary Chrisman on her retirement. She's been with the district a very long time. So congratulations to her, staying with us through mid-August. That's very exciting. The other one I'd like to comment on is Dr. Roach. We're certainly going to miss you. You have great opportunity ahead of you, and I wish you a lot of luck and success in your new position. And fortunately, I'll have the opportunity to work with you over at Western for another couple of months. So good luck to you. Couldn't be more proud of what you've brought to the district in the time that you've been here. So thank you.
I'll just piggyback on that and say that I too will miss you very much, and it's a great opportunity for you. And I hope that I'll see you at Western also.
Okay, he's leaving in June, so we have lots of time. He's not going anywhere.
We'll reiterate that at every meeting.
Yeah, every meeting, good thing. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Finance, A through J. Motion, do I have a second? Motion second, any comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Property, A through E.
Separate C and E.
Separate C and E. I gotta get down there.
What did you say, Colleen?
I said separate C and E.
Okay.
And under property.
So do I have a motion for A, B, and D? Motion second, any comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Do I have a motion for C and E?
Well, I'd like to
Do I have a
comment.
motion? I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do I have any comment?
Yeah, so on C, I know that this was discussed a little bit about the district-wide facility condition assessment. Is that the only company that we've consulted with for that price, or are there estimates from others that are out there for a price?
We had 3 estimates from 3 different firms.
And was this the lowest, or the medium, or? where was this?
It was tied with the lowest.
Okay, then E, I'm not sure, but I think there was a brief discussion about this last week, the replacement of the scoreboard. That seems like an awful lot of the $142,000 for a video scoreboard when it's not broken at this time, and there are only so many games that would be used for, is my 2 cents on that.
Okay, so as reported for the last 2 years, the board is beyond the end of life. The parts, we can't get the parts anymore, and it's not for a few games, it's for all of the sports. We'll cover everything that we do at the stadium, and it's, as recommended by the property, it's time. I mean, we've investigated this, we've researched it, we've got multiple quotes, and it's not something that we looked at, and it's not a knee-jerk. It's been investigated numerous times, and actually Mr. Hunter has done an excellent job in actually finding this for the cost that it is. It's not that much more than if we get the board that we have now, and this will allow us to provide advertising and everything else on it. So it's again, as recommended by property, it's time to move forward with this.
So this cost for this, I realize that other sports that would be in there would benefit from that too, but the advertising piece, who's going to manage that? Where are these ads going to come from? I mean, there's been limited discussion on that. Is there something that's going to be needed for the advertising to keep this going? How is that going to work?
As we talked about last time, we shouldn't look at this as an advertisement pay for. Either we move forward with it based on the cost, or we do not. I wouldn't recommend that we think that we might have mom and pop shops or Glaxo or Wyeth invest in this. The decision of the board should be based on either go or no-go, not potential savings that we might get from.
Yeah, I agree. You can't look at it as a business decision.
It's a board it's needed. It's I mean, it's not something that as a school district that we could wait for what we have to completely break and then say, now what? That's when it's extremely ineffective to do that. The only thing I mentioned about the advertising is it gives us, there's opportunity for us to expand on different options, but again, this is a recommendation from property through 2 years of researching, and like I said, it's time that we need to move forward with this.
But I still think we should make a concerted effort to try to sell as much advertising on this board as we can to try to help defer the cost of this thing. Other school districts do that, and we need to be very aggressive in doing that.
And once we have that in place, I don't see that as an obstacle of not being able to. I know that people want to be on it. Other districts have no problem selling advertising on the boards.
I also know that in previous years, we've gotten large sums of money from Life Touch, and that helped to put the digital sign out front. Do we get that? Could this offset some of these costs at all? Unfortunately, Dr. Nugent isn't here, but I don't know, are we still getting those funds? And do we know what happens to them?
Yeah, the last that we received 2 allotments of funds. One was for the sign out in front of the high school, and the other was for the Innovation Center upstairs. So we have utilized those funds, but I'm not aware of the current status of a Life Touch agreement.
We get monies from Life Touch each year based on the photographs and stuff. And as Dr. Gooden just pointed out, most of those funds have been used to build out that innovation center, and they continue to use in that way.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Can we vote on them separately?
Oh, sorry. Well, somebody has.
I tried to say that at the beginning and you shut me down.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, when I said, can we separate them?
Oh, I didn't hear you. So,
You have prerogative to further separate to the individual action
okay,
items.
I could separate them.
Yes.
I don't need a motion to separate.
You do not. We can.
Okay, so I have a motion for C. All right, just vote on C.
We will be voting first on C.
On C.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. And now we're voting on E. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, approved. Thank you. It was, everyone was yes except Colleen and Kelly. Programming curriculum, A and B.
Second.
Motion second, any comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Other business, A and D, A through D, I'm sorry. Wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's no first readings. No, I'm right, A through D. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Where are we at? Board comment. Any board comment? Public to be heard.
Is that, all right. Oh, yeah. Okay. My name is Erica Splitzer. I just quick like to talk about DECA, which is Distributed Education Clubs of America. It's the school district's first year participating in it, and it focuses on career interests in marketing, entrepreneurship, finance, hospitality, and management for mainly students in high school. And it was just an overall great experience, and I want to thank the district for participating in it.
And you guys did an awesome job your first year as well.
Yeah, I placed third for hospitality and tourism at districts, and I competed in states as well.
Great job. Any other public comment? If you guys want to make a comment, you sure? No, I mean, no? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.